Thank you, Madam President. You know, I'm the ranking member on public safety, so I sat through the two 18-hour or so public hearings, and I heard from a lot of people. And like Senator Meyer, I learned a lot myself. I did know something about firearms from my time in the service, and because I'm a member of a local rod and gun club, but I was hardly an expert. But I did learn. But even before we get into the weeds of this bill, which is, I don't know, Scott has it here, 140 pages or so, I knew I was going to vote no. Because I didn't need to get into the weeds of the legislation. I can't get by the premise. See, the premise that boggles my mind and boggled the minds of so many of the people who testified in front of our committee is you have two columns, you know. In one column, you have a deranged young man, a mass murderer. I wouldn't even call him a shooter. That kind of glorifies him. He's a mass murderer. A sick individual. Hero worshipped other mass murderers, apparently. We don't know that for a fact because we don't have the police report. We got drips and drabs, but that's an argument for another day. I mean, should we even be here without a complete police report? I think not, but that's what's happened. So that's the column we have. We have a mass murderer, somebody who's very, very sick. And then in the other column, we have ordinary citizens, clean record, work hard, pay their taxes, many of them veterans, want to be left alone. Never caused a problem in the past, won't today, won't tomorrow. So how does this body connect the dots between the mass murderer and the ordinary citizen? See, that's what I don't get. So getting into the weeds about what we're going to ban from the average citizen, the ordinary guy and gal, I'm not interested in that, because anytime you go down that path, I think it's wrong. Because you're punishing the wrong people. It's just that simple. The premise is wrong. And I'm going to wait today to hear if anybody connects those dots for me. How we get Adam Lanza tied up with the guys at the Rockville Fishing Game Club. That's what I want to know. And I have a lot of rod and gun clubs in my district. I'm a member of Rockville Fishing Game. I'm an honorary member of the Fin, Fur, and Feather up in Chaplin. I've gone to all the game dinners, wondered what I was eating in the game stew. Always a concern of mine. But a lot of others too, I think. We got Summers Sportsman's Club, one in Ashford, one in Pomford. So I know a lot of these folks over the 21 years that I've served. I'm a city boy, basically. So this was all an education to me when I moved up here in the 1960s. And so I got to know these people. So what I do know is that they're not a problem. Never were, never will be. Not now, not ever. But I also know we're doing them great harm. Psychologically, because they feel hurt that they're being lumped together with somebody who's obviously sick and deranged and being a straw man, basically, to be knocked down for what happened in Newtown. I don't know if they're more sad than mad, but I've been talking to a lot of them, and it's hard to say. The other component of this, which I'll just touch on, is there is an economic component to this. And they were here a couple of weeks ago. All the guys and gals that work in the industry in Connecticut that produces firearms and ammunition. We're a state that's known for that. We had pride in being Colt. In fact, we designated a park over there at Colt with state money, as I recall, because we were proud of our history of firearms. But now, I don't know, I guess we're not. But the point I'm having to make, or want to make, is there's 5,000 jobs connected indirectly or directly with the firearms industry in Connecticut. Hartford Courant today, if you haven't read it, there's a column in the business page, and Dan Haar makes that point. has had several good columns on the economic impact. But one point I hadn't thought about until today when he raised it in this column, I thought that, well, this will be bad for these manufacturers because they'll lose the Connecticut market. But see, there's a component that I wasn't aware of that he brought up in the article, that people who buy firearms in other states, the other 49, boycott guns that are made in states that have a bad reputation, who stick a sharp stick in the eye of gun owners. So you can buy that AR-15 because there's no patent in several states by several manufacturers. Don't have to buy the Connecticut AR-15, and they won't. And that's what happens in other states have done this. And I believe it was the vice president of Mossberg who said, he called it brand damage. We're going to have damage to the brand. He is getting offers every day from all over this country, from other states, to relocate. And we all know here that this is not exactly the home of business friendly. We tax people too much. We regulate them too much. I ran a small business most of my life. My daughter runs it now. It is hard. It's hard everywhere, but we make it really hard in Connecticut, almost adversarial in Connecticut. So now he's getting all these offers from other states, and his quote was something to the effect, if I stay here, I might be out of business in 3 years because of this brand damage. What choice do I have? So that's the economic component. You never want to trade, guns for blood. I mean, money for blood, but there is an economic component, and I think if you don't mention it, it's avoiding part of the equation. Then, the interesting thing that I thought about, most of you who know me know I don't care for corporate welfare. I don't like giving money to big companies, but we do it. We did it under Republican governors, too, so I'm not blaming Governor Malloy. I think it's a bad precedent for government to pick winners and losers. Never made any sense to me. I was a small business guy. I never understood why government was in that business of picking winners and losers, but we do it. So here we are willing to throw out potentially 5,000 jobs, and we gave $291 million to Jackson Laboratories for 300 jobs. I didn't vote for that. That didn't make any sense. $91 million to Starwood Corporation for 800 jobs. We have ESPN, Cigna, and it goes on and on. So what do we, it just doesn't make any sense to me. On the one hand, in fact, when Cabela's came in, they got state aid. Any of you going to Cabela's, you see where that road leads. You get off 84, you drive into their parking lot. You go there before you go to Rensselaer Field. It's easier to get in there. And we designed that for them because we wanted them here. Now we're saying, apparently, we don't want them here. And finally, like Senator Kissel said, just because I'm on this side of the issue doesn't mean I don't respect the others. I do. And just because I'm on this side of the issue doesn't mean that I'm not appalled by what happened in Newtown. I'm a grandfather of 8. I've got 3 in elementary school. And if you think that I thought that anything in this bill would help to make them safer, that I wouldn't vote for it, you're mistaken. The morning that this happened, I was in my youngest grandson's preschool class, preschool kindergarten, December 14th, 9:30, had their Christmas pageant. My little guy's got red curly hair and blue eyes. I don't know where that came from, but don't ask. But he's a red, curly-headed guy, blue eyes. And if I might say so, really cute as a button. They're all in there, and they've got their little hats, their elf hats, taped to their head that they made in art class. And they're singing Christmas songs and Kwanzaa and all the different songs of the season. And they're so earnest, and they're trying so hard. You can't walk. Everybody walked out with a smile. My mother was there. She's 96. Even my oldest grandson, who's 20, he came. obviously my daughter and son-in-law and my wife and I, along with a packed room full of people, grandparents, parents, aunts and uncles, everybody's smiling. And then you get into your car. You turn on the radio. And you say, wow, how can this happen? How can somebody be so sick as to kill 20 babies? Like my little guy, like John's little guys. So, I understand that we have to do something. People say, let's do something. But we could do a lot of things, and some of them are in this bill. We could reinstate the gun trafficking task force for $1 million. It's in this bill. That's a good thing. Like John said, Senator Kistel said there are good things in this bill. That's a good thing. It worked. We can make a minimum mandatory sentence for straw buyers. You buy a weapon for somebody who's illegal, and you know what? That judge has got no discretion. You're going to jail for 2 or 3 years, whatever we say. And if you think that wouldn't be a deterrent, I think you're mistaken. Because to be a straw buyer, you got to have a clean record. To have a clean record, you can't be familiar with our correction system. And the last thing most people with clean records want to do is go into our correction system. That would be a real deterrent. That would be doing something. You could put more money into Senator Williams' plan for school security, which we did do in this bill, $15 million. You could totally eliminate the early release program, which I'm not sure whether this does it or not. We've only had the bill for a little bit, so I'm not sure. It says it does it, but I'd like to read the details. So basically, I guess the problem is I can't connect the dots between Madam Lanza and the good guys. So I think we need to do something, but I guess we should be doing something that does good, not something that just feels good. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Senator Coleman.